Alright, finally I've been promising a video for a long time on the custom C70 rig that I've been using for past 6 months. I've been trying here and there, and I watch a lot of other videos that inspired me to build this rig. So let me share some thoughts, what I like about this rig and why it helps me opposed to some other rigs that you can see on YouTube. So first of all, when I got this camera, I was like, okay, I need a cage, and there are a lot of options for the cages. I have a cage for Canon R5, and I have a love and hate relationship with it, especially being it from small rig. First, I was so excited about this company because they seem to have a huge inventory of things that you can attach and build out, but I kind of don't like how things tighten. It might sound funny, but the way some of the cages feel and how they tighten, you always have to have a little tool. So for example, I do use their tool from Small Rig, which is this tool. This is super highly recommended. It's just a small tool that has screwdrivers and all the things you need to adjust your tripod or any other things you need on the cage. And it works really well with Small Rig, and not only, but other accessories that you can try to connect to your camera. But it's almost like you always have to use it with Small Rig. You can't just do it with bare hands. If you don't have a little tool, it's just gonna get loose within like a couple of uses. So I don't really like Small Rig as much as I used to, and I kind of ditched my cage as well, even though you can have custom engraving on it and all that kind of stuff. So I started looking into not just the cages, but I wanted to have my setup light and run and gun. I decided to not to get a cage for it at all, because the camera already has things that you can attach to it already built into the body, and it's actually enough for me. So I researched all my other options, and I found out there's a plate from Tilta that is only like $16, and that solves pretty much all my issues. If you are buying this camera or you already own this camera, you know that Canon kind of messed up the placement of the microphone, and everybody's complaining about it, including myself. It kind of gets in the way if it's connected to where it's supposed to be. The handle positioned on the body the way that the microphone is on the way. If you place the microphone on top, up front, it's gonna get in the shot if you're using 16 to 35 lens, for example. I ran into that on the documentary in Catalina Island when pretty much most of my shots, the mic was on top of the frame when I was using 16mm lens, which sucked. So that brings me to conclusion that I needed some other cage or plate, which in this case was the plate, where I can position my microphone somewhere else on the side maybe, but it's not on a way that you can hold the body. So I decided to buy this plate, and I would offer this plate to anybody who has this camera right now, especially this thing being so cheap, and I've been having it for a long time and I have no complaints about it at all. So pretty much it connects on top of the body, and it also screws in, so you can tighten it as much as you want, and it just sits there, it lives there, and it doesn't bother me because it's very small. So the problem that it solves is you can still have your handle from Canon, which I actually like, on top of the plate, but on the side you have a hot shoe mount where you can place the same microphone, and using the same little accessory comes with the camera, and you can connect any microphone. In this case, I am using the Rode NT-G4, and I also have a Wind Dead Cat if I need to place on it if I'm shooting outside. So in this way, the microphone is on the left to the body of the camera, and I can still hold my camera with my hand using the same handle that Canon provides, and it gives me a good grip. Some people say that it feels like a sandpaper. It does feel like sandpaper, like maybe first 2-3 days, but then it feels great. I actually like how it feels more than all those wooden camera handles from Small Rig or any other company. The only thing is kind of weird, the way they placed the holes, the curves for the fingers. I don't know, maybe you have small hands, but it just doesn't like fits in for every finger. But it's fine. Using the plate, you can have the microphone on the left, the top handle on top, and you're good. Now, the screen, the monitor. Honestly, I don't really like the monitor, and I'm even kind of scared to use it because you probably already heard the quality, the build quality of the monitor that Canon provides is just like, it seems like some other company did it for them, because all the other Canon cameras that I'm used to, for example, R5, R6, any in fact, are all the flippy screens. They're pretty good quality. Like you can unflip them, undo them, and they click in, they're solid. This one is like, it's not good. It just feels like it's gonna break. The plastic is kind of cheap. It just wiggles. It doesn't like click in completely. It's really like not promising. So I try to avoid using it as much. Also being it not as bright as some of the monitors you can use on this camera. So I am using my trusty Ninja 5 and it works well for me. I just plug in regular HDMI to the side and the Ninja just sits on top of the camera, where I also use this little accessory from Small Rig, in fact. But yeah, you also have to tighten it really good. If it's not tightened with this little screwdriver or little tool they provide, or you can buy extra separate, it's just gonna wiggle around. So you wanna make sure it's tightened really good, otherwise it might just fall off. And if you start moving it to, let's say, opposite side, if you need to, like you shoot yourself like I'm shooting right now and I'm having the motor up front, and then you turn it back, it's just gonna get loose. And if you wanna tighten it, you have to use this tool again. So that's just the only other thing that I could complain about. But other than that, if you just have the screen facing you, you should be fine using the handle, the microphone, and the monitor. You're set. Other than this, to complete my rig, I also bought a bigger battery. I didn't buy it from Canon because it's lots of money you have to spend on it, but I bought it from Amazon from a company called BM Premium. No problems at all, no complaints. It is a bigger capacity, 90 watt, 6200 milliamp battery, twice as much as the original battery. And it's proven to work very well. I don't have complaints about it. It's just a battery. And also, since I only have one RF lens, which is 70-200, I am using the adapter that you can buy separately, 0.7, I believe, adapter, that you can adapt your EF lenses that I've been already having and collected from my previous cameras. And it gives this camera a full frame look. Like for example, right now I'm shooting on 35 with the adapter on Canon C70 and I'm getting full frame instead of super 35 crops that you will get. Fun fact I didn't know before buying this camera, you can actually use a $100 regular adapter from Canon. For example, the ones you use on R or 5 or 6, and it will still work just fine, including all the features and autofocus. It will just not give you a full frame look. It will give you the same super 35 pretty much cropped look, but you can still use your EF lenses and you can save like $600 on the adapter. All right, so that is my handheld rig that I've been using for handheld look, or if I'm setting the camera on a tripod. When I'm shooting my documentaries or anything that needs to be shot on the tripod, interviews for example. But I also have a different rig that I've built it for a gimbal. So it is very similar to what it is right now on the handle, but instead I'm using the Ronin RS2 Pro. I like using RS2 instead of the 3 because this camera fits better on it and it works just fine. Like I have no problems or issues with it. It gets kind of heavy and I try to have the camera pretty much without any extra accessories on it. But if I need to have, let's say, a focus motor that you can attach to the RS2 Pro, I have a pretty cool setup that I've been using with an anamorphic lens that I've been testing out the other day from Vazen. You can click here to watch the video if you missed it. But the setup consists of the Ronin RS2 Pro with the focus motor that Ronin provides, but I also bought an accessory from Tada Small Rig. And again, I'm gonna complain about it, but it does the job. So I got a handle from Small Rig with like a rubber feel. It's alright, but again, it has to be very tightened, and I don't know if I like the rubber feel. With that, you can connect other accessories to the Ronin. So for example, like here with the Vazen, what I did, I connected the handle to the gimbal and then allowed me to not just to have an extra grip on the Ronin, but also I can attach more things to that handle. So in this case, I like to have a monitor on top of the gimbal so I can see closer what I'm shooting. I just have it on top mounted to the top of the Small Rig handle, and that way I can see the image closer and the gimbal pretty much sits behind it. That way I can carry it and see it, and if I need to adjust the angle of the monitor, I can easily do so. And the handle serves two purposes, not just being a handle, but also being an extra placement of other accessories like the Ninja or the microphone. Also on the gimbal, I try to avoid using the big battery. It actually just barely fits, but you have to readjust everything if you use the big battery. So I try to save my battery, my small battery, to the gimbal usage and use the big battery when I'm handheld in the thing. Well, and lastly, the biggest advantage to my rig, in my opinion, is that I can strip it down real quick to bare bones. If I just need to use the camera body, nothing else connected to it. If I don't care about the audio, maybe I'm just shooting slow-mo. And by the way, with the newest release of the autofocus software update, oh my god, it's like day and night. I'm making another video on that, I promise. The autofocus is a lot better, and now you get eye detection. I'm getting sidetracked. Let's get back to the topic. If I need to strip down the camera to bare bones, nothing else, I can just take the top handle from it and the microphone, and pretty much I just have the camera and the top plate. It takes no space. It just sits on top of the camera and it doesn't bother me at all. So which means I can take it down in like 2 minutes, not even. and you just have the camera and all the other things are on the side. Well, that is it for me. I hope you liked and enjoyed the video. If you did like it, please like it and don't forget to subscribe. It actually does make a difference. I love watching people when they break down the rigs and taking down their setups and put it into pieces, and also put them back together and show them how it's all nicely done and how each piece serves this purpose. So I hope you got something out of it. I hope you learned something new in this video, and I hope this video helped you to build out your own custom rig for Canon C70. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.